Welcome back to the Moon Talks with Dad channel. Think back to the last time you snapped at someone during a disagreement or made a split-second judgment about a situation that turned out to be wrong. Picture a couple enjoying a quiet, expensive dinner. The plates are cleared, the conversation is flowing, and then the waiter drops the check. Instantly, the air in the room changes. Before anyone even reaches for a wallet, the dynamic fractures. The moment that piece of paper hits the table, one person feels used, the other feels attacked, and a peaceful evening spirals into a full-blown argument right there in the restaurant. This happens because of a hardwired biological glitch. When we face a complex or stressful moment, our brains prefer to avoid the hard work of processing objective facts. Instead, they lazily swap out the difficult reality for a much simpler question: how do I feel right now? If we fail to recognize when that invisible swap happens, we remain trapped by our own rapid-fire emotions, unable to navigate modern conflicts. To understand why a simple piece of paper can trigger an emotional meltdown, we have to look under the hood at the science of human cognition. Much of what we know about this phenomenon comes from psychologist Daniel Kahneman and his research into how the mind processes information. His findings were so rigorous that they reshaped the field of behavioral economics, earning him a Nobel Prize. He demonstrated that our brains operate on two distinct competing systems. The first is what Kahneman called System 1, the fast, unconscious, and automatic brain. It relies on mental shortcuts and requires almost zero effort. If I ask you what 2 plus 2 is, System 1 delivers the answer instantly. It is a remarkably effective evolutionary survival mechanism. If you see a dark shape coiled on the ground out of the corner of your eye, System 1 makes you jump backward before you even consciously realize you're looking at a shadow, not a snake. Then there is System 2. This is the slow, rational, deliberate brain. You need it to park a car or multiply 17 by 24. But there's a catch. Running System 2 requires massive physical energy. To conserve energy, System 2 is inherently lazy, preferring to stay dormant and let System 1 drive. Because we default to that effortless, fast processing, we develop a sense of blind confidence. We act quickly, convinced we have the whole picture, when in reality, we are making major choices based on just a single puzzle piece. That fast, instinctual brain is built for survival, not for navigating modern complexities. You simply cannot use the same system that dodges a snake to untangle a financial disagreement with your partner. To engage our logic, we have to manually wake the slow brain up. And that requires specific structural tools. Think of these tools as psychological speed bumps. They force you to hit the brakes and interrupt the overwhelming momentum of an emotional reaction. Unless you actively deploy one of these speed bumps, your capacity for reason stays locked away, inaccessible at the exact moment you need it most. One of the most effective ways to force your System 2 into action is an adaptation of Edward de Bono's thinking hats framework. By focusing on 3 specific modes of thinking, we can start to deconstruct the friction in a complex disagreement. First, the white hat filters for pure, verifiable facts and cold data. Next, the red hat provides a safe space for subjective emotions, preventing them from disguising themselves as facts. Finally, the black hat analyzes risks and predicts negative consequences of leaving problems unsolved. So let's return to the restaurant. The bill arrives and the tension spikes. But this time, the couple uses the hats. Under the white hat, they look only at the financial reality. Person A pays for dinner more often, and person B has a lower income. Those are the indisputable facts. Then they switch to the red hat. Person A expresses feeling unappreciated, and person B expresses feeling pressured. They validate those emotional responses without arguing over the math. Finally, putting on the black hat, they mutually acknowledge the risk in front of them. If they don't fix this underlying tension, resentment will grow and damage their connection. This gives the slow brain the structure it needs to address the financial and emotional source of the friction. This process of observing your own mental state is called metacognition, literally thinking about thinking. It anchors business strategy, guides daily journaling, and verifies information. These same frameworks help managers conduct structured interviews, help individuals set resilient weekly goals, and help researchers detect bias in AI-generated summaries. You have the ability to consciously choose your reactions, rather than letting your immediate circumstances dictate your life. The next time you feel a sudden rush of absolute certainty or anger, take a breath. Instead of reacting, put on a hat. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep cultivating that slow brain, and I'll see you in the next video.